sometimes we've got so much going on in our heads that it's like you're doing little jobs at a time. Sometimes you need to bring that in and go, you know what, this is what I'm focusing on right now. So how do I focus on this, knowing that that other stuff will still be there when I'm finished?
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice, nor your own sound judgment. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio, where we inspire you to remember your magnificence. Join the conversation on our live streams. Head on over to Angel Heart Radio on Facebook. And there's even more for you on angellight777.com.
Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Thank you for joining us. And Marney Perna, thank you for making this special effort sitting in your car.
That's totally okay. We're having a bit of a storm up here in Queensland, and I got stuck in traffic. So the easiest thing was to stop, and I'm parked under a beautiful jacaranda tree.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Here we are talking about scattered thoughts and what we can do with them.
How do you bring your thoughts together to be able to deal with whatever is the most, I say urgent, but the next job that has to be done? Because sometimes we've got so much going on in our heads that everything's like it's like you're doing little jobs at a time. Sometimes you need to bring that in and go, you know what, this is what I'm focusing on right now. So how do I focus on this, knowing that that other stuff will still be there when I'm finished?
Yes, that's the crux of the whole thing, isn't it? Being able to look at what is the most important, what is the most necessary.
What's needed now. It's not even if it's important. You might need to go to the toilet and there's lots of other things happening, but that's what you need to do now. It may not be the most important thing in your life, but it's a need and it needs to be addressed straight away. And if you can think of your brain as your computer, and when there's too many things needing to be done and they all need your attention, it's a bit like having 20 tabs open on your computer.
Right.
Your computer goes slower and none of them get addressed unless you click on them. So you need to be able to click on whatever is your next job. We'll call it a job.
Right.
Or next task. Call it a task. That's not as overpowering as a job.
Right.
So what task needs your attention now that can be ticked off or addressed, and then you move on to whatever task is happening next. And you need your brain to be able to filter the information. So how do you unpack what's going on to know what you need to do best? And sometimes to do that, you need to step out of, because you're in a bit of overwhelm at that stage. You've got all these tabs open. They're all flashing at you. They're all saying, pick B, pick B, pick B. It's like children. And, there's several ways. You can think of yourself as a delicatessen sales assistant, and you just pull out what's next. Who's got the next number? Right. Or take a number, allocate them numbers and say, okay, well, this is number 1, this is number 5, and it's not done in order of preference. It's just a number. Right. And you just open whichever tab number you need to at that time. But you also need your brain to be a little bit relaxed. So what can you do to calm down, to come back to centre? All right. So what's your favourite centering technique, Annette?
Oh, that's a very good question. I like to sit quietly. If I feel that I'm all over the place and I don't quite know what to do next, I've learnt to sit or stand still and okay. And quite often I'll ask for higher guidance.
But when you're in a state of stress or overwhelm, you forget some of those basics.
Sure.
You might forget to ask for higher guidance because you sort of going, oh my God, what's going on? So, some simple things is running central meridian is very, very simple. It's just use the flat of your hand, just touch your pubic bone, make a cup out of your hand. I know how to do a cup backwards. So a little cup like that. So you're cupping the energy. So you touch your pubic bone and then in a straight line, straight through midline, cup the energy until you get to the bottom of the chin, just here below your lips. And that's the end of the central meridian. So that the pubic bone is the beginning. It runs in a direct straight line straight through the belly button area right up to the bottom of the chin. And when the brain is in a bit of overwhelm, sometimes that energy is a bit stagnant. So if you just run, I call it running the meridian, just touch the pubic bone and then a little bit out from your body, cup the energy to your chin and then flick. And it sort of brings flow back.
Right.
But it also gets you to concentrate on something else that is harmonizing the brain. And then when you're a little bit, so if you're standing doing that, you then just stamp your feet a couple of times and get solid with the ground, because that's your grounding, right?
Yep.
If you're sitting, you can still stamp your feet. You can wiggle your bottom, right? You can just get in a nice position. You've run central meridian. You're saying to your brain, it's okay, darling, I'm looking after you.
Yeah.
Now what do I need to do? And it's kind of like taking that breath and stepping back and go, okay, what do I have to do next? You know, and then your brain can, okay, well, this is what you need to do, because the guidance will then come through without you even having to ask for it. They'll highlight which of the tabs needs to be opened next. And I must say, I meant to say before, Annette, that yellow really suits you. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want it to be bright like the sunshine today.
Yeah, no sunshine up here.
Isn't that's really interesting? You know, Marnie lives in Queensland, as a lot of people know. I live down in Melbourne, and usually it's the other way around because Queensland's the so-called sunshine state.
Yeah,
I'd like to welcome.
It's raining purple today because where I am, as I said, I'm under this massive jacaranda tree that I didn't even know existed, and it's all the little jacaranda pellets are falling off in the rain and coating all the ground. So I'll try and take a photo before I leave from in the car.
The joys, what we can do. I'd like to welcome Chrissy to our little broadcast. Thank you for joining us. I wonder where you're joining us from. Maybe Chrissy will tell us. So, see, we're so fortunate, Marnie, to have such things at our disposal. The fact that you're on the road and you're able to do this, you know, the show can go on.
Absolutely.
Gratitude is so important, and both of us this morning, you very kindly let me know in advance of possible what's the
challenges,
connections, etc. Yeah. So we knew all the way along, and we were both very, very calm about our options, and here we are.
I was not as calm in the traffic, looking at the clock going, oh dear. Can't stop. I mean, you couldn't do anything about it.
Think it through and know your the possibilities.
Yeah. Well, this was one of them. So yeah. But at least you were prepared that if I was having a moment or two to get on, you understood why. So.
Yeah.
And did Chrissy say, welcome, Chrissy? Did you put in the chat where you're from?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
So now let's talk about that. That was a practical situation for both of us this morning, where in times gone by we probably would have gone into overwhelm. However, previous experiences led us to think ahead slightly, give warning, and they're the things that we can do. I know that if I'm running late for something, it can be through traffic, it can be through a variety of reasons, but to be able to give people notice about that then allows them to relax, and B, probably do other things as well. I just find that things happen in divine time, and it's perfect timing.
Yes, we're just having a slight little hiccup here. I'm just seeing what's going on. I'm losing sound.
Oh.
So can you still hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Don't know what happened there, but anyhow. I can hear you, but it's very faintly. So.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, isn't it? Oh, see, we can talk through these things, people, which is wonderful. I love the way. Does that make any difference to you?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's my car radio. Just I will just touch that. Try now.
Yes. How
Yep,
are we
I'm
going?
back. I'm back.
Thank you, angels.
Absolutely.
We are being protected.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned, Marnie, I know when I'm pushing the boundaries, if you like. Yesterday afternoon, I wasn't quite sure how to use half a bottle of champagne because I didn't want to waste it. A girlfriend had very kindly brought me some the day before, and because she was driving, you could have a glass each, and that was it. And there were a couple of suggestions, and it wasn't going. That they didn't work. And you know what? As it turned out, the same friend could call in again because I had some kumquats that someone had picked for her. And so we could share the rest of that bottle. And I thought it's really interesting how when we let things unfold, the perfect answer comes sometimes. And I'm learning that. I'm learning to let go and to be shown. Okay.
Yeah.
Lead me.
Yeah. I think too, we think we have to have a solution all the time, but the solution isn't there at that moment. So if we can let it go, it's kind of like the old saying that a dog will worry the bone and that the bone gets chewed, but it doesn't go anywhere sort of thing. So you need sometimes to just put the bone aside and come back and go to it later, and you go, oh, that's how I could do it. If I chew from that angle, well, maybe that'll work this time. And you need to be able to recalibrate your thoughts so that you're not in that overwhelmed state all the time, because overwhelm just begets overwhelm. And to make a different outcome, something has to change, but you've got to step back enough to be able to see that you've got to change something. So with the champagne, you could have automatically just tipped it down the sink, but by putting it off to one side and letting it go, a solution came too. I thought you were going to tell me you made some fancy jelly out of it or something.
Oh. Hadn't thought that. We had champagne
that way
with raspberries in it. Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So we talked about this scattered energy and other stuff. We started talking to it because I said there was just so many jobs I had to do with the moving and the unpacking and the sorting out of everything that it was overwhelming. And I found I just had to just really be a little bit happy and accept that everything would work out rather than, oh, my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's not saying not to have some solutions. You can have some choices, so come up with a couple of choices, but don't fret just on that thing, because honest to goodness, the universe does create situations where things come to be, and it's okay. All right, so it's okay if a thought comes to your head, and it comes to your head enough times, your body's worried about it, so your brain is worried about it. There's some trigger mechanism happening that's reminding you that at a similar time it didn't work out as well. So what you need to be able to do is say, okay, well, the last time this happened, I did X, Y, and Z. Wasn't so good. So is there something different I can do? And if you can find something different to do or some different aspect, your brain says, oh, yeah, that might work. So it's kind of like it's a different thought process. And you just might be that next solution that you need for the next time.
We learn from experience sometimes.
We also, if people can think of their experiences as a beautiful pearl necklace. So each time a situation shows up, you deal with it a certain way. And it might not be the best outcome, but it's the best outcome at that time that you had. But when that time is over, what you will do is you will get one of the pearls of wisdom that comes from that experience and put it on your necklace. So that in time, if you come across similar, because remember, the body will register if a similar kind of event is happening, it says, oh, yes, but remember you got that last pearl. That pearl will deal with that, or pearl number 3 will help you deal with that. So you're building this beautiful pearl of life experiences that help you in the future. So you're almost like banking them. But what you're doing is you're making this beautiful necklace out of them. So your wisdom of your heart is around your neck. And you can draw on that at any time.
Yes. Good idea. I love the idea of a pearl necklace.
And they're your pearls of wisdom, remember. So people can't take them from you because it's an experience that you've been through.
Right.
So, and it just helps you to know that you don't have to have all the answers. Like, although there's a lot going on, you don't need to have all the answers now, because you can only judge your response based on the information you've got. And you mightn't have all the information yet. You know, so we spend a lot of time worrying needlessly.
We do. Absolutely. And I hear some people, Marnie, saying, I'm always a worrier. Well, that doesn't have to be the case.
No. So you have to use my worry box technique, you know, put your 10 biggest worries on single pieces of paper. Once you've written them down, fold it up and put it in the box and make an appointment for a couple of days later and open the box. Sit comfortably, have your nice cuppa or your champagne or whatever you need, and open the box and unfold each piece of paper singly. And is it still a worry? Sometimes the worries have gone. And I'm sure we've also shared the proverb of the worry tree as well, the namaste tree. Have we spoken about that, the old Chinese proverb?
Maybe, but I think it's time to revisit it.
So there's an old Chinese proverb, right? And there's an old Chinese builder, and he's building a house for this young man. And he had one of those days where anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And, yes, his cup was full, and he got in his car at the end of the day and his car wouldn't start. So, you know, it overflowed. So the owner of the property said, well, look, can I drive you home? And the gentleman said, yes, that'd be very nice. And on the way home, the man's energy was quite sober and downplayed, you know, wasn't a very happy chappy at all. And they got to the man's house, and he turned to the owner of the car and he said, can I invite you in for a cup of tea? And the owner of the house, he didn't want to go because this guy's energy was really flat. But because it was kind of him to ask and he was a nice person, he said yes. So they get out of the car and they walk to the house. And as the old man gets close to his front door, he turns to this big shrub that's beside the door, and he clasps the shrubs in his hands like a prayer and bows. And then as he lets go the shrubs and turns to the young man, his whole energy's changed. He's a brighter person, he's lighter, he's smiling. And he opens the door and he steps into his house, and he's a different person. And this young he's gobsmacked. He can't believe it. So he has his cup of tea and they get to go, and he turns to the guy and he says, I have to know, what's with the tree? And the old builder says, I have lots of worries and concerns that are not my family's challenges. So what I do is I place them on the tree before I greet my family of an afternoon. And he said, you know what? When I come out in the morning, some of them are there and some of them are not. But he said, I've allowed myself to have the space to be happy. And I mean, it's not exactly, it's the parable is along those lines. So you can Google the parable of the gratitude tree. I call it a namaste tree because it's that process of clasping the hands and giving namaste. But you're doing it with intention. So what can you plant outside of where a lot of your challenges need to be kept? Do they need to be in the house, or do they need to be outside the room? You know, and it does takes all that worry out of your head for a moment. Even if it's for a moment, it doesn't matter. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
It gives you a chance to breathe.
I'm having trouble with good morning, Alicia. Now, Teresa was saying there's no sound. However, I think that's Teresa's problem, because Alicia is saying, hello, beautiful angels. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Oh, good. So some people are hearing us and some people are not.
Yeah. And now for some reason I couldn't write a response to Teresa, which I need to do because obviously she's not hearing us.
Yeah.
It will be her sound, not ours.
Yes.
So see how wonderful. Alicia arrived in time to allay my fears. So all in divine time.
Absolutely. And every so often as you're talking, a rainbow appears on your lower face as well. So something's reflecting, but it's really lovely.
Oh,
It's on your chin now.
I have a crystal that the
Yes.
sun shines through.
Yeah.
And this morning, there was just a myriad of tiny rainbows. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, every so often they're popping in again.
Oh,
So,
how gorgeous.
yeah. I mean, we are on Angel Heart Radio, let's face it. So
That's right.
Amazing things happen.
Well, dear. I'm just letting.
So while you're typing, we'll just sort of say another way of capturing your scattered thoughts and recalibrating them into focus is actually to write them down. So just get a little notebook. You don't have to keep them. Just write down what is capturing all your thoughts, because your brain is supposed to look after you. Right, so it's your memory triggers. So it's reminding you if there's a lot of things happening, it's reminding you that things are going on. Otherwise, you forget things all over the place. All right. So sometimes if there's a lot going on, you do need to at times capture those thoughts. And if you've captured them and put them on paper, it's amazing how the brain goes, oh, you've noted that. And it can kind of let it go. And if you've got that piece of paper in front of you, you know that you've got to address these things. Right. So you're not going to lose the thoughts. Because you know how you wake up of a morning and you've got this pressing thought coming to your mind. If you don't take note of it, if you don't write it down or verbalize it on your phone, like record it on your phone or something, the action of getting up and getting into different things, your brain's forgotten. So the next time you think about it is when you lay down and you go, oh, I didn't do such and such. I know something that was worrying me the other day. After 34 years, there's a lot of people to let know about a change of address. A lot of practical things like your rego, your license and stuff like that. And I kept thinking, oh, I haven't done all the regos. I did my license because I had to renew that, so that had to get changed. But I thought, oh, I haven't done all the regos. And I'd think of that going to bed at night, and I didn't want to get up and get on the computer to see what to do about it. And then the other day, my husband had to renew his blue card, and his photo wasn't current. So we actually had to go to Main Roads and get a photo taken so that they could upload it on the blue card, which is that working with children card. Whilst there, I said to the lady, oh, how do you go about letting Main Roads know about all the changes for your cars? And she said, oh, that's done. I went, oh, really? I didn't do it. She said, no, but as soon as you change your license, anything connected to yours or your husband's license automatically upgraded the address on the rego. So although I was worrying about it, it was ticked like it had been done. I just didn't know. I thought it was just another job for me.
Yes.
So, now, sometimes lists are helpful.
Yes. I find that I have a pencil and paper beside my bed, and quite often at night I will write down the things that I need to do or I would like to do the next morning, because I find, like you, that what I'm thinking about at night, yes, I'll do that tomorrow. If I haven't written it down, the whole day can go before I go, oh, I was going to do X and Y. So that works for me.
Absolutely. Yep. And like I'm very blessed. I sleep beautifully most times. There's a rare occasion where I don't. And I do know the other day I had a night where I had so many thoughts coming together that I knew I had jobs to do. I knew I had, and they're all from different things. They weren't connected to just moving and stuff like that. There was a lot of other things, and maybe I could do this, and maybe I could do. And I kept saying I should get up and write them down or go to the computer, but I was too comfortable.
Oh, well.
I didn't want to get up. And the next day I was able to recover some of those thoughts and write them down then. So it is good to take, because you're taking action. The process of writing down is your thought is in your brain and in your head, right? Even by taking action of moving your muscles and getting a pen and writing, your brain has acknowledged you've done something about it, right? So you've actually taken the thought, you've put it in the channel of energy to your hand, and you've written something down. Right. The thing is then not to lose the piece of paper. Have a spot like your fridge.
Interesting. I'd like to welcome Jean Mary. We've got a few people in the chat room now, which is very, very nice. Thank you.
Has anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask of us?
Well, see, I didn't introduce you today as a kinesiologist. Why? Because I well, you're an author as well. A brilliant book that's available in hard copy, e-copy, and auto copy. How cool is that? If people are scratching their heads for new ideas for Christmas presents or...
Yes, I have a lovely combination that I put together at Christmas time, which is one of my emotional healing sprays called Creating Calm, my book, Creating Calm Amid Chaos. And then also I usually include a little crystal in it too. I intuit a crystal and send that along as well. So it's a little package I put together.
Lovely. So if people want to reach out to you, they can go to Kinique.com. Now that's KINIQUE.com. They will find all of your products there because
they will. And if they need to ask me something, they can just contact me and do it that way.
Lovely.
As well. Even through email, I usually respond. Sometimes takes a day, depending on what chaos is happening in my life as well.
You say that with a smile. See, that's
you have to. If I just premise that with saying I live in a household, where husband and I are semi-retired. We have our son, daughter-in-law, and 2 little babies living in the house with us, 3 dogs and a cat. That would show people, I live in a real world. and stuff happens.
Yes, and that's important, isn't it? Because I think that's what I love about Angel Heart Radio, in the fact that we are normal people having I say at times, an extraordinary experience, because at times I have to really pinch myself to think, is this really happening? And am I having this experience? Because I feel very blessed with all that has happened through my life.
Yeah. And I think that's what we have to, it doesn't say there's not dips and gullies in your life experience. There will be dips and gullies. There's dips and gullies in anything in the universe. Like just look at the terrain. Even the terrain has dips and gullies and high peaks and low peaks and different things. But there's a way around. There's, it won't go on forever. And it may seem like it while you're treading in that mud. It may seem overwhelming. Well, that's when you need to have something that will give you joy and happiness. And it might be as simple as buying yourself a bunch of flowers. Or if you can't afford a bunch of flowers, find a park and walk through the flowers. Like I keep talking about this jacaranda tree. I'm going to see, I don't know if it's going to work, but there's a back to front camera on here.
Wow, yes.
Yeah? And if I turn you sideways for a moment, sorry, oh no, that's not going to work. But it's just the most beautiful tree.
Wow.
Isn't that lovely? And the ground is just covered in the I don't know if it's going to let me. Yeah, it will. Look at that. Can you see that? Can you see all the ground?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
It's a carpet of purple.
Oh.
Anyhow, I'll come.
One of my favourite colours.
Yeah, it's a very very nice colour. Now I need you back in big. There we go. We're back. So is there a garden somewhere close by you can walk on, or walk past, get the flowers? Because when life's being very challenging, that is often financial as well. So where can you go that uplifts you? Is there somewhere, like, is there I don't know, find an animal that you can pet, or go and look at the wildlife, or go to the local library and use their internet to Google happiness. What makes you happy, what memories trigger your happiness. Then that will help to take some of the negative energy out of your head, so that the positive energy can come in and you can think again, right? Because happiness is like it's giving yourself petrol. It's filling your tank. It's filling your joy and happiness. It's making your heart sing. when your heart's singing, it's easier to look forward to the future.
Sure. See, some people enjoy watching a favourite film or a comedy and lifting our spirits through laughter.
Yeah.
We do that well.
Yeah. And, I mean, the time in the universe at the moment, and you can't help but acknowledge that it's an unusual time, there's a lot of loneliness, but there's also a lot of connectedness. I think what it's reinforced for a lot of people is that they are people and they're not loners, because a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I like my own company, but it's showing people that your own company is as nice as the length of time you need it to be your own, but you need to reach out. And the technology nowadays has been phenomenal. And, you know, most people have a phone. Most people have some way of connecting. And, look, I've seen instances where there hasn't been that connection, and people are opening windows and singing to their neighbours and talking to their neighbours that way. You know, it is a time of connectedness as well as isolation.
Right. And again, see, that's a flip of a coin, isn't it? Do we feel lonely, or are we connected? And it's a time we can reach out to people who we mightn't have had the time to have a phone conversation, but all of a sudden we do have a little more time, and it's lovely to reconnect with people.
Yeah. I think the ones that are really finding it hard, you like, we've got the little ones at home, but they're not home all the time and they're not at school. So I think a lot of children have felt a loss of fun and a loss of play. So, you know, I'm not sure how we gather them back into feeling comfortable again, because it's caused our generation and our parents. So I'm 63, right? So my parents came through the wartime. So they've lived through grief and strife and calamities and things like that. We were a more sheltered age group than our parents, but we've also gone through the times of need and well, I have anyhow gone through the times of need and hunger and things, because our parents weren't fully established.
Right.
But the generation below us, so my children's generation, haven't seen as much of that kind of life. It's been a lot more stable for them. And the little ones, the next generation, well, they're not used to instability at all. They're used to instant. Right? So they know if they want a hug, they can come and get a hug. You know, that kind of stuff. So they're not used to having to wait or do without. So they're not a generation that are used to coping as well. So we need to give them coping skills. And they need to know that they're safe, that things are a bit different, but they're safe as well. So teach them things like running central meridian, teach them frontal occipital, where you just get them to put their hand across their forehead and the other hand you cup the back of the neck, and you tell them to hold their head, or get mummy to hold the front of the head and they hold the back of the head. As they feel more relaxed and at peace with themselves, they'll cope better, because they are a very resilient group of a generation as well.
Right.
They'll bounce more easily, but they just sometimes need to be shown how to bounce.
And what you've just shared for children, of course, that's really good for ourselves too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
How simple. Hands on the front and the back of the head.
So on the front of your head, just here and here, there's two energy points called emotional stress release points, right? And again, they're connected with your brain. So on the front of your head, when you're in a lot of overwhelm and grief and anxiety and stuff like that, you go into what's called flight fight, and that's that that danger response. You mightn't realize you're in danger, but your body thinks you're in danger. And what happens is the brain needs to respond really quickly. So it doesn't need to have a lot of flow happening in this front part of the brain, which is your prefrontal cortex. So the blood flow kind of drains backwards, and you're working on old primitive responses and reactions. You need the blood flow to come back to the frontal cortex so that you can think creatively. And really, by putting your hand across there, you're kind of drawing it. You're putting the heat in and you're drawing the flow back to the frontal cortex. And it just helps you to think. Instead of, old stuff hasn't worked, so why would you do it again?
Yeah.
You need something different. You need a different ingredient in the mixture to get a different outcome.
So true.
Right. The other point that you can use, again, it's practical things that you can do that can make a difference. I'll take the camera down. Just putting your whole hand across your neck area like this. Just making sure your thumb or one of your fingers is on one of your collarbones, okay, and just hold there. That point there is one of the energy points that recalibrates the brain. You automatically take a breath when you have your hand across there, right? It's a reboot. They call them reboot buttons. So they're kind of resetting the brain's computer.
Well, that's another wonderful tip, Marnie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And people worry, if you're an acupuncturist, you've got to be really specific in the points. But when you're doing self-help and self-care, you have to just get the area. So your hand is a perfect size for your body. So rather than, I often have clients saying, I couldn't remember the exact points. Forget the exact points. Just put your whole hand there. You know, as a practitioner, I would then get them to place their other hand on their belly button, and that's kind of stability. It's giving your brain, your left and right hemispheres something to do. And then you hold it there for a few minutes thinking something happening, or, oh, gee, that's lovely and warm. My hand's really warm at the moment. It's giving my chest a bit of comfort. Swap hands. Swapping hands makes the brain work. It says to the brain, oh, God, what have I got to do now? I've got to use my left hand. Where am I going to put it? So it's giving it something to do. So it's reactivating the information highway in the brain. And it's giving you the cross balance as well. Your left and right is being more balanced.
Right. Well, Jean Mary is very grateful for your advice. She's saying great advice. So wonderful.
Some people say they're so simple they won't work. But hand on heart, they're so simple they do work. Because if you try and do complicated when someone is overwhelmed, they don't do it because they're overwhelmed already. They don't need complicated. They need basic. You need to run on the wet grass. You need to put your feet in water. You need to sit, plant your feet, wiggle your bum. You know, get a grip on life, get a grip on the ground, because when you're overwhelmed, you're like the balloon man. You know, you've got a string attached up your bottom, but the rest of you is all floating in the air and there's no stability. Come back to earth, ground yourself. You know, the crystals, amethyst crystal is very good for grounding. If so, we're on Angel Heart Radio, so there's a lot of metaphysical and spiritual people on. A crystal that helps the metaphysical people ground again can be labradorite. You know, it's that licoricey kind of coloured gemstone that you can get. It's a dark black with greens and different colours like cowrie shell.
Right.
You know, so if you're drawn to a crystal, I have a feeling that tiger's eye is another one that's really good for grounding. You know, so if you're a spiritual person and you go, oh my God, I need a crystal, just put your hand in blind into your crystal cupboard and grab whichever one your hand grabs. It'll be the right one. It'll be what you need. And the story of that crystal will make sense to why you grabbed it. So the story is the anchoring of the information.
See, another helpful thing, cards as well. Drawing.
I love my cards.
Drawing a card.
Yeah.
Or turning to a page. Getting back to your book again, Calm Amid the Chaos. When you creating calm amid chaos, holding your book between my hands and asking a question and seeing what page opens, or going, if I'm looking for something, going down the chapters and going, oh, okay, this is what I need at the moment. So.
And you can do that with any self-help thing that you've got. You know, so we're not, what you're trying to do is you're re-establishing contact with the earth. And when you're grounded, you can do this stuff. So, you know, there's oils. I use a lot of the oils. There's an oil called Valor. Now, Valor is one of the Young Living range, but that just happens to be the group of oils that I play in, right? So they're my oils. And Valor is all about strength and courage. And we do this little, it's almost like a standalone treatment where we do a Valor balance on people that are feeling very spacey and let go. and you put 3 drops of oil in the palm of your hand. Now, one of the main ingredients for Valor is blue tansy, so it's a beautiful bluey purpley colour, right? And it's got a very strong odour. It's not an oil I go to because I like the smell. It's an oil I go to because of what it does, right? So I'll put 3 drops in my hand and rub them clockwise. And then you take your right hand and however you can, put it under your left foot and hold that for a couple of minutes, and then let go. I mean, if you're very supple, you might be able to do both feet and hands at the same time. I'm not that gifted, so I would have to do it one at a time. Or you do it on another person. So you're putting your right hand under their left foot and left hand under their right foot. Just step to one side a little bit when you're doing it for someone else and just hold. And they will feel that energy going from their feet all the way up through their body. And it's an oil, as I said, it instills strength and courage into people. And its little nickname is chiropractor in a bottle, because you can imagine as you're getting strength and courage, your whole spine is straightening. So you're getting the little muscles beside the spine are all getting this little zzz to hold up firm. So, you know, I've seen it being used in some remarkable instances to give people, to instill that courage in people. And, you know, I use the Valor oil for that, but what's stopping you using any oil that you have?
Right.
You know, whatever one you grab. And a little handy tip is peppermint oil, which is one of my favourite oils. I love the smell of peppermint. But peppermint is a driver. So if you're using a more gentle oil and you really want to push it through the energy field, put a drop of peppermint on the top of it, and the peppermint drives it in. So it drives in the energy. And it's also, you know, uplifting and invigorating and things like that. So, you know, what tools are at your disposal to help you to focus?
Yes, and bringing it back to simple. Sometimes, you know, we can complicate our lives, as we started off by saying, you know, if we've got really scattered thoughts, okay, what is the most current? What do I need to do now? What can be left?
Yeah. And allow. I think that's the other thing. Allow yourself space to think. So how do you step back? How can you take a moment to give some thought to what you need to do next?
Right.
You know, it's like the old meme of the menopausal woman who gets out of bed and starts to make the bed and the phone rings. So she goes to answer the phone and I'll put the breakfast on while I'm at it. So she'll put the toast on, doesn't wait for it to pop, and then thinks, oh, geez, I've got to get something out the car. So she'll take the car keys. But on the way to the car, she sees something she's got to put away. And, you know, at the end of the day, she looks back and she said, I achieved absolutely nothing. Nothing got done. And, you know, I've got all these half things. I walk into my room and I think, but I made my bed. And where are the car keys? You know, you got to backtrack, try to find your car keys. You need to step back, do one thing, step back, do another thing, step back, do another thing, because you will do it in order of need, and urgency will denote which is next. You know,
I used to be that woman, you know, doing several things on the go, and it's crazy. We can do one thing, yes. There are several on the go. However, we complete, don't we?
Yeah, or complete as much as we need to, so at least we don't lose our keys.
Yeah.
But I know I had them in my hand. Where have I put them? Or looking for your glasses that are on your head. I put them down somewhere. Where did I put them? I did that the other day with a face mask.
So
I had a face mask on because we were somewhere, and then I took it off so I could breathe in the car. And then I got out at the next place and thought, oh, God, what have I done with my face mask? So I got another one out and I said, why are you wearing two?
yeah.
It's around my neck.
Oh, yes. It's so important that we can laugh at what we do. We're not belittling ourselves or anyone else. We're simply appreciating the humour in a situation.
Yeah. And look, if you haven't got laughter, things are really bleak, and you've just got to learn to laugh again. I understand and I connect with the people that life is really, really a challenge and there's nothing to laugh at. But in the end, the only person that can find something to smile or laugh at is yourself. So it's a bit of, it's got to come back to you, and it's your decision to see what you can do about it. And if you can just do a couple of things that give your brain a bit of peace for a moment so that you can think of the next little thing that you can do, because they're not big steps. Sometimes they're little steps.
Sure.
And when you're well, you don't appreciate it. When you're not well, you do.
Ain't that the truth? The first time we notice something is when we're missing it. I think good health, yes, I can take it for granted until all of a sudden I haven't got it. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Be grateful in the moment.
Yeah, we have to. And those little, the more you look for or find gratitude, the easier it is to have it around, because you're used to looking for it. Like, it's like if you've ever asked yourself, what are you grateful for? It's not going to come to you easily. So, it's a habit that you've got to instill and start to grow with. I know my son asks my grandchildren every afternoon, what fun thing happened at daycare? And then they've got to think about the fun thing that happened at daycare. But it's a question. Instead of saying, how was your day? Or they're actually asking them to be quite specific about what happened at daycare that was fun.
Yeah.
Or he could say, did you have a bad day or a good day? And they'd say bad. Yeah. So, just, and look, hindsight's a great leveler as well. We can be so clever in hindsight. At the time you weren't. And I look back as a parent, there's so many things I could have done so differently, but I didn't know. So I didn't have the knowledge. So what is the point in regretting having done it when I didn't know I could have?
Yeah.
It's a waste of anything, regretting that. But hoping that the pearls that came from them get put on my chain is more more helpful for me.
Now, interestingly, Alicia says there's no sound. I think that's our little cue for saying thank you, Marnie, so much for doing a broadcast from your car. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our audience for being with us today. I really appreciated it. And goodness me, I will speak to you, Marnie,
in November.
Yes.
In November. Can you believe it? Yes.
And so thank you for today.
That's all right.
And
my pleasure.
Everybody else, I will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, next Thursday, when Rosemary is going to be with me. So thank you, everybody.
And I'll leave with the jacarandas.
Lots of fun to let me just do that. May you bring fun to your life. May you bring fun to everybody else's life, and enjoy all that it is possible to enjoy. Much love for now.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world, and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools. They are not intended, nor should they, be used to replace your medical or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed by Angel Heart Radio hosts, guests, co-hosts and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.